No, I mean, like, just like, what are you guys gonna grill me on?
I don't know. Yeah, we really
Like
don't.
just political questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we specialize in. It's really no pressure, man. It's gonna be all stuff about you. Like you're gonna know best.
Yeah.
There's no math questions
Good, because
Maybe.
for now.
Maybe. Yeah.
oh God, don't have me
Yeah.
do math. And I mean, if you do, it's not gonna be pretty, but that's fine.
How many ounces are in a liter? No.
Yeah, I can't, man.
Those are so hard.
How long is your hair?
How
Looks
long is my
long.
hair?
Yeah.
Oh, why do you ask?
I had long hair for a long. I just cut it like a couple weeks ago,
Oh,
and I had really long hair, so I know what a bun looks like. I know that's probably
yeah.
cut
So
your
I
butt.
used to have, well, I used to have really beautiful hair. So the picture that like is my like profile picture, those were actually extensions. And I got extensions because I got really sick with mold illness and got like lost a lot of my hair. And I think the extensions actually ended up making it worse. But yeah, my hair now is like it's finally coming back in because I've gotten better, but it's like my shoulders, it's not that long anymore.
You just make a good bun, don't you?
I do. It's been like, a lifelong thing. I'm really
Man, you got to narrow it down.
Looks like a solid bun.
Yeah.
Well, Megan, we appreciate your time. I think I saw you on KetoCon's page. Are you speaking at KetoCon or Hack Your Health?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not like a panelist. Well, I am. I'm on the food addiction panel. I'm not gonna be on the stage by myself. I'm gonna be with a panel. But yeah, I'm part of the food addiction panel, which I'm actually really, really excited about. And it's kind of, I know this sounds like really, really cheesy, but it's kind of like a dream come true. I've always wanted to get into kind of some sort of public speaking. And when I was in the midst of like my food addiction and bulimia, I was like, you know what? If I ever overcome this, like I'm gonna get really vocal about it. And so that's what I do now.
That's cool. It means a lot, that type of thing, food addiction, whatever the issue is, coming from people that actually experienced it. Because on social media, there's a lot of people talking about stuff that have never really experienced it. They're just telling you from like general theory or what they read out of a book. So I bet you experiencing, bulimia gives you
Yeah.
a firsthand insight on what really goes on.
Yeah, so it's like you're saying this right now because like there's so many people like health professionals in the space. In fact, I've done a podcast with someone like probably like 2 years ago, and I knew it was kind of going to be kind of a heated topic, and I try to stay, polite and reserved as much as I can. But I mean, from a many, and I'm not talking, smack, or am I? But a lot
I
of
hope you do.
a lot of certified nutritionists or RDs or even doctors will literally tell you that food addiction is not real. It's not real. You just got to heal your relationship with food. Some people will also say, oh, you just got to heal your blood sugar regulation or dysregulation. But food addiction isn't real. And that's also probably coming from because food addiction isn't in the DSM. It's easy for people to say that who have never actually struggled with it. I work with people every single day all over the world who struggle with food addiction. So it's very, very real. I'm very passionate about this subject. And in the midst of my addiction and bulimia, not kidding you, I would literally like be in a ball curled up in my bed after like a day full of like binging and purging, binging and purging. And I would say, I don't know, man, like if I ever figure out how to overcome this, I'm going to make it my mission to help others do the same. And so that's what I do now.
I've never heard bulimia and food addiction together, but it makes sense that it would be together. Do you think the two have a relationship together? If you have one, you have the other.
So this is the thing. It's every food addiction is so individualized. So individualized. A lot of people who may have been anorexic, that can turn into bulimia. Sometimes people who are bulimic can turn into anorexia. And some people have the food addiction aspect too. But like for me personally, it started, I mean, I had food addiction. My food addiction issues stem back to age 9. But throughout the years, it manifested, it got worse. And then obviously the bulimic. So like it started with purging just in the gym. Like because my food addiction was so bad, I was eating so much food I had to get it all off, right? So I'd purge in the gym, and then I became a mom, and life got really busy, and I couldn't spend hours in the gym. So I had to find another way. So it was just like this very, very sick cycle. And it strips you of your self-worth. It strips you of everything. It's all you think about. And it's just so consuming. It consumes every aspect of your life. And I was in the health and fitness space, actually. And I have been in it for a while now, and I was preaching health and wellness. Like, and I was a total fraud because I was so far from healthy. I reached like a point where I'm like, you're a fraud, Meghann. Like, here you are preaching health and wellness, and you are so sick. And food addiction can come in all different shapes and sizes. Like, you don't have to be morbidly obese to be a food addict, like I've seen it in all shapes and sizes. So yeah, I'm kind of going on a tangent right now.
No, that was good. When I think of food addiction, I think of a morbidly obese person. Can you paint a picture of what food addiction is? Is there a good definition that you like to use?
Okay, so somebody who is constantly like thinking about food, right? Like, if you are hiding food, if you are embarrassed about some of your food behaviors, it can be like you can have certain triggers. So like a lot of people use food to soothe. It's a coping mechanism, right? So like if you are in a place in your life that you are very unhappy, or it's hard, or it's stressful, a lot of people will seek to soothe. And you don't just get addicted to the food, but you also get addicted to the behavior. And something that I would, have you ever heard of like people who cut themselves, right?
Oh yeah.
That's self-harm. Okay. When it comes to food addiction, I compare it to the same kind of analogy is, okay, we're not cutting ourselves, but we're literally self-harming ourselves by literally eating everything. And so I always have this conversation with people when they first kind of think like maybe like if they struggle with food addiction or not. And one of the first questions I ask them is, okay, when somebody gives you a cookie, let's say you've been doing really, really well, you've been eating super clean for like 5 or 6 days, and somebody gives you a cookie. Can you just have one cookie, or does that cookie compel you to eat the whole box? Then before you know it, you're into the cereal, then the Pop-Tarts, and then before you know it, the whole pantry is literally gone. And you have eaten yourself sick, like curled up in a ball, like, oh my gosh, what did I do? And what happens is you have people who are sick like this, who I and like me, who were, and you're following conventional wisdom, and you're scrolling on social media, and you're listening to all these Fitspo chicks and these health experts that are saying, live a balanced lifestyle, moderation, you should be able to eat all of the things. And I listened to that for so long, and I stayed in these 6 cycles my whole life. And it wasn't until I actually discovered that food addiction was like a little like a legit thing, that's when the light bulbs went off, and I was like, oh man, like that means I just can't touch my danger foods. Like, so I have my clients, and everybody has different foods that are triggering to them. So I always like to have my clients, when they start working with me, are, okay, what are your non-negotiables? What are the foods that steal your peace? So like, I'll give you an example. I was a sugar addict, like hardcore, cookies, cake, ice cream, anything that was super highly palatable that would light up my brain. So those are my non-negotiable foods. I put those on a list. So when, the voice of sabotage creeps in, or Ed, who I like to refer to the addictive brain. So I call him Ed because ED stands for eating disorder, disordered eating,
That's creative.
So I really teach my clients how to kind of differentiate the two. Like, who's talking right now? Is this Meghann, or is this the voice of sabotage? It's kind of like dealing with 2 people. So you just got to learn how to be able to manipulate the addictive brain a little better. And we start with knowing what our non-negotiables are. So when that voice does creep in, we don't even like ponder the thought of touching that, because let's be real, addiction is addiction. At the end of the day, when like, so for an alcoholic, right, you know very well that if an alcoholic is sober and they have one beer, let's be real, that one beer is going to turn into a 30 rack and God knows what else. The same thing goes with a food addict.
I hate the term balanced diet. Mike and I were just talking about that. I think that's a made up thing that people in their 20s who are fitness influencers have been able to make up, that metabolism hasn't caught up to them yet, or they haven't had kids yet, or they don't have real fucking jobs. They're just like, ooh, I got a balanced life. I'm having spaghetti on Wednesday.
Oh my gosh.
Get the fuck out of here.
Okay. You know what kills me is when I see like these health gurus who are like, eat all the things and still heal your hormones and like live your best life. And I'm like, bitch, sorry, you can't eat your cake and have it too. It doesn't work like that. And you'll live a mediocre life. Like, and that's the thing. I don't think a lot of people will ever reach optimal wellness because they are living a balanced lifestyle.
Yeah, no, I think that opens the door, like, or trying to live a balanced lifestyle is that.
Like, what does that even mean?
It's not, you're not balanced at all because you're feeling like shit. At least for me, when I try to do a balanced life, like go out, take my family, eat pizza, but for 6 days out of the week, I'm good. Like, I'm probably better off than most average Americans, but I still feel like shit because I'm recovering from that one day. It takes me 2 days to recover from one night of pizza.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like shit. I hate the balanced, live a balanced life.
I'm the bad, like you kind of spoke to probably what we do too, is like we binge eat sometimes, but it's like if it's either on or off for me. So if I know I'm going to have it this week, I might as well have it the rest of the week, because that recovery time, it's like by the time I recover, I'm eating pizza again. So it's like, it's a vicious
like
cycle.
That F it. It's kind of like a lot of people have that F it mentality. Like, I already effed up, so I might as well just, keep screwing up for the next week. And then you just stay on these cycles. But I'd love to be able to address a restrictive lifestyle, because this is something that I hear a lot. And I'm sure you guys do too, with being in the health and wellness space, is like, so many people will look at, a healthy lifestyle, like choosing to not eat certain things or drink certain things is like, oh my gosh, you're like so restrictive. Well, feeling like shit and being sick is restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So when you're at your hardest times, I'm sure you have hard moments where you're like, should I indulge in some sugar again? What are your strategies to like get out of that mind space?
Yeah. So believe it or not, I really don't have those moments.
What?
Anymore. I can honestly say that, because my sickness was so bad. Like, I was in such a terrible place mentally and physically. I was a slave to my addiction. And fast forward to almost 5 years clean, I am in such a good place. I have literally transformed my entire life. I have built an amazing business, and the past scares the shit out of me. So like, I can truly say that I don't really have a desire for that stuff. When I see those things, I can be like, oh yeah, like those look good. And like my daughter, like if she gets a donut or like ice cream, she calls it a sniff test. Mom, you want a sniff test? And like, I'll smell it, but it doesn't like compel me to like want to eat it, which is crazy, because I remember when I started like my first stages of food sobriety, and they were saying, yeah, well, like you need to abstain from these things. And I was like legit having like a panic attack, because I'm like, you're telling me I'm never going to have these ever again. And it was like overwhelming. But you start with taking it one meal at a time, one day at a time. And I will say this, like when I go through stressful situations in life, because I've had a lot of them, but we all do, I can tell like if I want to eat more food, or like stress eat or binge eat, because I can still binge on things that are healthy for me and that I'm, technically allowed to have. But I'm very aware of my old behaviors and patterns. And I've also created a lot of boundaries for myself around food. So I don't go back to old patterns. And I'm also like, if you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk. So like as a coach and a business owner, like I'm not going to be preaching something and, you know, in the background doing the complete opposite. Like that's just not my game.
So you say, you know, besides eating and feeling like shit afterwards, did you have some ailments that that you had to recover from? Like, I don't know, just whatever the case is. And what specific foods did you eat? Like, was it just not sugar, or was it a specific diet that you used to kind of stray away from the addiction?
Yeah. So I never, like, thankfully that I know of, had any like metabolic, like I was never insulin resistant or type 2 that I knew of. But my mental health was so bad. My anxiety, my depression, the constant obsessing. So like my issues kind of stem back from age 9. I was a very obsessive compulsive child. My parents, I was in and out of therapy. My parents were trying to do the best for me. So they put me on medication at a very young age. So I was on prescription pills for 17 years, which is outrageous because I'm whatever. I'm like anti-big pharma now for so many different reasons. But when I was put on those meds at age 9, I blew up like a balloon. I was the chubby kid, always had body image issues my whole life. I had this undying appetite, and I think the drugs actually did it to me, where I just wanted to eat all of the things. No food was ever enough. So that's where the food addiction kind of started. But my mental health was just so poor, and I did know, like, I'm a believer in God, and I do believe that He puts you through hard times and challenges for a reason, and it was my job to figure out what that was. But my mental health was so poor, and I just wanted to feel better, and I wanted to be set free. And I knew that there was so much more to the world than like this addiction. And I wanted to discover myself for who I was. So without meds or being a slave to food addiction and bulimia. So age 20, I want to say 20, it doesn't matter. It's been a while, like 5 years ago. My parents had been doing the ketogenic lifestyle. And I thought they were insane. Like I thought they were on crack. I'm like, you guys don't eat carbs. Like, cause I was like a hardcore, like CrossFit junkie, like, yeah, eat all the carbs and look like shit. But like so they were like, I was so sick. So they were like, you know, why don't we put you in this ketogenic food addiction course and just like, see how you like it. And I was so desperate that I was willing to try anything. And my father literally had lost 100 pounds on ketogenic, reversed his type 2 diabetes, reversed his sleep apnea. My mother's mental health had improved. So I was like, all right, let's try it. And I enrolled myself in the course, and all the light bulbs went off, and it was, you know, I've never looked back. Now I'm more I'll go through phases. Like right now I'm like strict dairy-free carnivore, and I feel my best doing that, but I'm also not anti-veggies either. But for me personally, like I just know that I feel better. My life is so much more peaceful and simpler. I'm less inflamed when I keep it meaty.
We know, we talk about this all the time. We know there's a correlation between diet and mental health, whatever you define mental health as. But when is that going to be accepted by mainstream? A quick thing for parents who a kid, you know, that their child is suffering with ADHD or something, the first thing they want to do is put them on medication. It's so prevalent these days. I talk to a lot of parents that do that, and I'm always like, kind of cringing, like, oh, why are you doing that? But it's so accepted to do these days.
Yeah.
And but they feed them Snickers or something for breakfast.
It's the food diet. It's the food dyes. It's the standard American diet that's literally killing our children and us. I mean, I just got done another food addiction course, and I forget what they said, but by like 2000 like 30, which is not far, 1 in 3 people are going to have type 2 diabetes, which is literally insane. But it does break my heart too, like seeing these kids with, I'm sure you guys have seen it, like when we were younger, I feel like there wasn't nearly as many issues as we're seeing in kids now, you know, and it's like what we're eating and whatever, call me a conspiracy theorist if you'd like, but I'm right. Like it's all about money, right? Like, so when you just said, when is, you know, eating healthy and like, you know, eating a low carb, ketogenic or meat based or just a whole foods diet in general, let that be like a healing therapy for, you know, kids and adults. Like, I don't know if it ever will be because you don't make money off of healthy people. So it's not going to be promoted.
What do you think about the sleep apnea though? You mentioned that earlier, like everybody's getting APAP, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, it's like, oh, that's normal. If you're snoring and you're almost dying in your sleep, you just put this machine on and everybody it's accepting. Like we know couples that their husband has it and it's like, they can't sleep. It's more like he snores so bad that I can't sleep. So I need to put this thing on. And it's like, oh yeah, that's normal. Let's just put it on. But it's very reversible. But that's something I see and sprout up a lot more. You know, like obviously type 2 diabetes is very prevalent and becoming more normal. But like, I don't think a lot of people are talking about everybody that's on an ABAP. Like they're
when I was about 215 pounds before we got into running and stuff. We've had a long health journey together, but we're not. I'm talking like we're together. By the way, we're not together. We're not a couple.
We're not together.
But I used to snore a lot. My wife, used to record me when I was snoring, and I would like swallow my tongue sometimes, like choke on my tongue. But when I lost weight, that was the first thing that I noticed was I stopped snoring. Yeah. It's amazing how that just impacts everything, along with mental health and all of it.
Well, I mean, if you restore your metabolic health, right? You get to a healthy weight, you're reversing your type 2 diabetes, your insulin resistance, you're going to be able to reverse your sleep apnea. Your improved sleep is going to improve your mental and physical health. It's just, it's all a domino effect. And it's so easy, but it's so difficult for so many people. Yeah. And I think honestly, I think what it's going to take is just people who are super passionate, believe in it, and just one person at a time.
Yeah. It almost takes something scary to happen to that person or their family or a loved one for them to see it and then to course correct and make the appropriate changes for them. I wanted to ask you about coaching, and I imagine you work with a lot of parents who have kids, and what kind of advice do you give them for balancing that life? Because if they're trying to correct their diet, their health themselves, but their kids are going to school, going to daycare, going to birthday parties, eating cake and ice cream, how do you work that into that program?
So it's difficult, especially like when your children are already like, I don't want to say grown up, but like, you know, they're old enough to make their own decisions. However, I always like to tell my clients and even myself, like, because you don't want to create eating disorders in children, you know, like I'm very careful with that with my daughter. Like my daughter's a carboholic. Okay. And I'm not going to lie, like the more information you have and the more you know, it's like a blessing and a curse because it's actually like terrifying. Like when you know your kid's eating something and you're like, oh my God, what is that doing to you? You know, but you also don't want to create an eating disorder. So like for me personally, and I tell my clients, this is, you keep leading by example, you keep making good decisions, you keep educating your kids too. Like, hey, this potentially can do this. I mean, like, we're seeing cancer early in children now. Like that shouldn't even be a thing right now. So just education and leading by example, and hopefully when they see you leading by example, they'll eventually be like, oh yeah, like I want to do that too, you know?
So a lot of people, isn't it funny how you just say a lot all the time? Yeah, a lot of people. Remember, the last person we lost.
I say a lot. I get a lot.
Or isn't it crazy? Where are you from?
New Hampshire, at the East Coast.
Yeah, I have some family in Massachusetts, and that's how I know it's a dead giveaway. my dad uses it's super wicked. So super wicked. That's kind of Jersey a little bit. So a lot of people. Damn it.
There are people
that exist in the world that they have trouble eating healthy because of a busy lifestyle. So how do you eat when you're on the go
Yeah.
and it's easy? Like what kind of things do you eat
Yes.
specifically?
So that is a great question. And a lot of my clients are busy professionals, but let's be real, like the whole world is busy. So I'm going to be real because I'm always real. That's one of the most annoying and dumbest things like somebody can say is I'm just so busy. I want to be like, yo, we're all freaking busy. Okay. Anyways, but being on the road, it's very easy actually. So we want our lifestyle that we choose to be sustainable. Okay. It's not always necessarily going to be optimal, but we can always do our best. So, like, for example, like for me and my clients, all my clients are on the low carb side of things. Go to Chipotle. Do you guys have Chipotle in Texas?
Yeah.
Chipotle, great. Go get a meat bowl. Put some pico and guac on that, like whatever. Or if there's a fast food joint, burger patties, great. Get some burger patties and bacon. If you're doing cheese, throw some, cheese on there. If you're going to a sub shop, great. Get a steak and cheese and no bread. You're going to a restaurant, cool. Get a protein and vegetable. If you want to be like a psycho like me, ask what they cook in it. Like, like it's so simple. Meat sticks. Almost all gas stations have hard-boiled eggs now. They're a little creepy, but they're there. But it's totally doable. I think it's just of like, do you really want to be healthy? Or do you want to just, keep coming up with bullshit excuses saying, I just don't have time to take care of myself? That's what it comes down to.
It's the time thing and the convenience thing.
Right.
It's so convenient to eat something out of a box or a bag, or you get off work at 4:00 or 5:00 and you're heading home and you're just like, I'll grab this thing out of the box or a bag. They make it so convenient. It's a lot harder to take it's not hard, right? But it is a lot more time consuming to take the meat out, put it on the grill, cook it, make your vegetables. It's so easy to eat something that's like frozen and put it in the microwave and just feed it to your kids or family.
Once you like make it your lifestyle, it's like it's the shift. Does it take a minute to transition and shift into these new healthy habits? Yes, but once you're there, it's really freaking easy.
Yeah.
And when you say you talk about like what oil is it cooked in, or if you're trying to do, I guess, tallow or like ghee or all this healthier stuff.
Yeah.
What mainstream restaurants that when you have to go supply that kind of thing? Because since you asked already, is there some that you?
So obviously, when I'm at home, I do tallow, butter, and animal fats, but I'm also even the fancy restaurants, man, like they cook all of their vegetables in canola oil. So for me personally, and for my clients, I say all you can do is your best in terms of trying to minimize your exposures to these things. So like, I will say, hey, can you make sure, like, can you just steam my broccoli, or can you just make sure you cook my meat in like butter, or like keep it away from the seed oils? But let's be real. If you're going out to dinner in a restaurant, you're going to be exposed, like no matter how fancy the place is, really. So just do your best. And that's why, like, for me personally, I don't know about you guys, but I personally like eating at home now, just because I know exactly what's going inside of my body. I actually just kind of get angry when I go out to dinner because I'm like, this food actually kind of sucks and I'm spending lots of money and I'm not even full because I eat 2 meals a day. So like my second meal of the day is usually my largest, and your girl eats a lot of meat. Like an 8-ounce steak is just not going to do it for me.
And the steakhouses also cook them so shitty too. They're like, they're not a good steak unless you go to like a legit steakhouse.
Have you guys ever been to a Fogo de Chao?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. So good.
Those are legit.
They cooking in good, and I guess butter or what? The steaks?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't ask just because I probably would have been heartbroken.
I always get the shits when I leave there. And Chipotle too, I get the shit. It immediate. 30 minutes after I eat, I have to take a shit.
Well, butter's not butter, right?
Yeah,
All
that's
butter's
another
not
thing.
butter.
Oh, that's another great thing. Like when you go out to dinner, make sure you're asking like, "Hey, can you make sure you get me real butter?" You have to do that at breakfast joints now and ask for real freaking eggs.
Oh, really?
What?
Yeah, there's a couple places around here that like if you get like an omelet, they use like an egg mix. Like they don't
No.
yeah, crazy.
Oh, but it's still egg though. It's not like vegan eggs or anything, right?
No, God, no. We can't. You ain't sitting at my table.
Fucking those dumbass vegans.
I can imagine you're like, hey, can I have some real butter? Like, yeah, sure thing. Like, here's some real butter. Because they don't give it. Nobody gives a shit anymore. Have you noticed that with these restaurants? When you do go, nobody cares, and it's 90% chance that your shit's gonna come out wrong. Or
Oh yeah,
or,
that's why I get so annoyed. And it's like I rather spend money at a grocery store, cook my own meal, enjoy it, and not have to deal with just I don't know anybody.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
So much.
She has so much facial
She's so
expression.
animated. Do you is meat for you? Is meat quality big for you? Meat quality.
Great question. Great question. Yes, it's important. I think so. I mean, like I do my best to do organic, grass fed, but all you can do is your best, right? So like not everybody can afford grass fed, organic, like, and I go to the grocery store, I still buy, conventional meat. Do I do my best to do organic as much as possible? Yes, but it doesn't always happen. If you are eating meat, whether it's organic or conventional, and you're not eating processed garbage, you're doing better than the entire world.
Yeah, that's another thing that is a trigger for me for fitness influencers when they do like what I eat in a day, and it's always like the top of the line grass
Potatoes,
fed
rice.
Yeah, it's like grass fed. I got this tomahawk. I ate a tomahawk last week. This is the leftover tomahawk that I had from yesterday. Yeah. It's like the most elaborate, expensive foods. It just bugs the shit out of me.
The Flamin' Hot Cheetos never make the clips, too. Because everybody's eating fucking
they're in their glove compartment in their car and they're snacking on their way home after the gym.
I think there should be a social media rule. And as you cannot claim to be a fitness influencer if you're not over the age of 30 and you don't have kids. One of those things have to be met for you to be a fitness influencer.
Yeah.
You have to go through some hard times, I guess. But there's some that are young that were overweight and then had a journey. And then,
okay, yeah. Okay, if you're really overweight.
But if you just came out of the womb, wet 95 pounds, and then you're eating a salad at Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
The influencers that I make fun of are like the ones that are like, oh yeah, I need to do all this carb loading to put on all this muscle mass, and they're eating like cupcakes and friggin' peanut butter jellies, and I'm just like, dude, I've never done that, and it does not look good on you.
Sorry. It's just not relatable for the average person. The average person,
and it's not healthy either. There's so many things that are like healthy that are not fucking healthy.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because I think it confuses a lot of people. Like I genuinely think a lot of people like want to be healthy, right? But what does that even mean? What does that even look like? And a lot of people think they're being healthy when they're not. So, I mean, there's no wonder why people are so confused and their head is spinning. And a lot like for me personally, I don't even scroll really on social media. In fact, if it wasn't for my business, I probably wouldn't even be on there. But I literally keep my following very, very small because it's so much noise. And if it's not, you aren't just what you eat. You are who you spend your time with. You are who you listen to. So I'm like, you need to be protecting your peace because all of that correlates to your mental and physical health, right? Like keeping stress down and everything. But yeah, I can see why a lot of people get confused because there's so much out there.
Yeah, definitely levels to this game too. It's like people are stuck in the past of old ideologies. The thing you're doing is seen as extreme, but it's actually getting pretty normalized. But what?
I mean, I am pretty extreme. Not gonna lie, but I'm proud of it.
Yeah. What kind of people inspire you? Like that kind of match your ideologies and and your thoughts? Like who can people follow similar to you that can kind of get on the bandwagon?
Like who, like other people, like like food addiction influencers, or like who inspires me? Sorry,
Let's switch.
I'm trying to understand your question.
Just in general, who inspires you to
Yeah.
keep doing this?
So anybody who, just people who inspire me in general are people who have been a rock bottom time and time again and just refuse to stay down there. People who have had their lives torn apart, but don't stay in the victimhood mentality and just like choose to take their pain and use that as fuel to just keep getting better and better and better and stronger and stronger. I think we all have a story and we all have a choice, right? And we can, sit and feel sorry for ourselves, or we can pick up the pieces and just friggin' conquer. And the people who are out there conquering are my people.
Does that fuel you? Do you need that fuel to keep going? Like,
yeah. And I mean, I was like, I'm saying that because like my life over the last decade has been a shit show. Like, not gonna lie. I lost an entire career from a traumatic brain injury. I had spent 5 years going through a psychiatric drug withdrawal. I've lost a home, a car, a business from mold illness. Like, I know what rock bottom is, but I know that every fucking heartache has made me who I am today. And that's why I have a hard time listening to people whine and complain and feel sorry for themselves. And you are allowed to feel sorry and be upset and grieve, but it's your obligation to fucking pick up the pieces and make a good fucking story out of it.
What happened to this mold thing? We had a guest on talking about her battle with black mold in her house. She bought a house, and unbeknownst to her, there was mold in it, and it wrecked their fucking lives. What happened to yours?
Yeah,
it wrecked my life too. But it actually was, once again, one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. My traumatic brain injury, one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. But the mold, so I started to be, so I had a traumatic brain injury like almost 5 years ago. It was actually almost at the same time that I was just getting better with my food addiction and bulimia. And so I lost my entire career in the fire service, fell backwards out of an ambulance. I thought I was fine. It was not. So I had post-concussion symptoms I still have them, but I've learned to manage them and they haven't gotten better. But anyways, there was a period where I started to feel like a human again. Like I was like, okay, like I think I'm starting to feel better again. And so after losing my career in the fire service, I had to come up with plan B. So I opened up my own studio gym, which had always been a dream come true. And it was my baby. Like I made it like all by myself. Like it was great. But I started to get really fucking sick. Was losing my hair, like just not feeling like myself, chronic fatigue, just all of the more anxious. Like I knew something wasn't right. And because I'm kind of a geek, I was like, shit, like what if this is like mold illness? Because I had heard about it and I didn't want to believe it, but mold had kind of been chasing me everywhere. Like it was showing up in different areas in my life. Like I swear to God, it was like God trying to be like, yo, this is what your issue is. So anyways, the condo that I was in, I had found some in there. It was a brand new condo. So I found it in there. And then my studio, long story short, there had been lots of water damage and I'm like, oh shit. So it was hiding in between the ceilings. So I had to get out of there. And then the car that I was driving had a panoramic sunroof. And the sunroof had stopped like working. And then I went to get my car detailed and the guy was like, yo, like you have so much water back here, like under like where like the spare tire goes. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So that like, I never visually saw the mold, but hello, like common sense. I definitely had mold like on the insides from like where the water was. So yeah, I lost a condo. I had to get out of my condo, which got out of that condo, found a way more beautiful condo. That's just way better. Had to get a new car, got a nicer car, and my little business that I had to get rid of, I was so devastated, but it forced me to launch my 100% online coaching business, which I'm way happier doing. So that's why I say it's like any kind of like hardship or like any kind of like shitty situation, when you're like down in the dumps, you just have to believe that there's a greater plan for you. And I promise if you believe that, you will find it and figure it out.
That's intense. I'm worried. I'm like worrisome about mold. I have a cold
It's
plunge.
big. Are you guys in Texas?
Yeah, we're in Houston. It's the swampy area too.
Yeah,
So
Texas and Florida are like some of the worst places to live for the mold.
I have a cold plunge in my garage, and there were some times where I get in and the water goes over the edge, and it touches the wall, and I'm like, oh man. I don't think like it's not like a finished garage, so it's very open. There's a bunch of air that moves through there, but I worry about that. I still think about that shit, dude.
Well, so like there's some people too, like some people, like for me, I have a legit genetic type because I got the blood work done, that my body does not properly detox the biotoxins that mold gives off. So not everybody has that genetic type. So like mold, I mean, I don't think that having mold in your house is good, period, but not everybody will necessarily get as sick as somebody who has the genetic type, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Did you take a genetic test to find a lot of things or just for mold?
It was for mold. Yeah. Do you guys know Nutrition with Judy at all? She's like big in the carnivore space.
Yep.
Yeah. So I started with her and because she's like, her niche has kind of become CIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which is what I'm in. I'm in a protocol right now. Like I'm a year into my protocol. So it's like, I'll get my blood tested every 4 months. Honestly, it's like the worst thing. I hope nobody ever has to go through it because it's not freaking cheap. And if you live in a moldy environment, you're not just paying out of pocket for doctor's visits, but you probably have to have somebody come in and do, remediation and all of that stuff. I mean, like I've heard stories of it costing people like hundreds and thousands of dollars because you cannot get better unless you are out of that terrible exposure. So that's why I had to get out of my condo. I had to get out of my business because I would never get better. So I really don't wish it upon anybody.
Shit.
Yeah, our last guest lost her whole house. And then she had to get rid of all of her stuff because you can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
The spores, all the clothes, like baby pictures and photo albums and all clothes and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I've actually thought about at some point, maybe getting more into that stuff to help, some of my clients on a deeper level, but not gonna lie, there's so much to learn about it. And I don't know if I want to be that bearer of bad news.
You have to become the expert, because it's always misdiagnosed. If you go get diagnosed from a doctor, that's not on their sheet of things that you could possibly have with these symptoms. Yeah. And then the remediation thing's kind of up in the air. There's faulty, because
a lot of people don't even know what they're doing.
No, because everything has to be sealed up properly because if you leave a little bit behind, it's just going to keep basically bursting these spores everywhere.
Yeah, and they duplicate in the millions.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wild.
It would be smart to kind of get in that space because I don't think there's enough experts out there.
I know. Maybe I'll get better. Let me get better first. I have made improvements. So I'm on the Dr. Shoemaker protocol, and it takes anywhere between 12 and 18 months to recover from it. And I just started VIP, which is like a nasal spray to help reorganize my immune system. So I just started that 2 weeks ago, and I do feel I feel like I'm making improvements. So it's good.
How do you know that you still have it? What is the feeling? Is it anxiety?
So my blood markers.
But you don't feel a certain way whenever you're.
Sorry, say that again.
But you don't feel a certain way whenever, you said, I'm doing better, but I have my moments. When the moments happen, what is that feeling?
So just chronic fatigue. And if I do too much, I'll have a really hard time getting out of bed. maybe lucky in the sense I'm probably more of a like higher functioning SIRS patient. Because a lot of people who have SIRS, like some of them can't even like walk and get out of bed. Like POT syndrome, really bad. Like for me right now, I've had to really dial back on my workouts. I cannot work out vigorously right now. In fact, when I work out harder, I swear to God, I actually get bigger in a way, and not in a good way. My body just gets too inflamed because my body is already in a chronic state of inflammation, and doing vigorous exercise is going to add on. So yeah, just chronic fatigue. But I do know I'm getting better because I'm having waves of like way more energy. I'm a lot less anxious. My hair is coming back. So all good things. I think a really important key note to any kind of illness, invisible illness or invisible injury, because I've had both, is the power. And I know this sounds like so cliche and so cheesy, but the power of positivity and mindset is so important. Like I truly believe like what you think and say about yourself is what you become. So if you were in a like constant state of, oh my God, I feel so sick, I'm never going to feel better, like you're never going to get better. You have got to believe. Now you're allowed to feel like shit. I'm not like trying to wash that off, but you've got to be able to say, I am getting better. I am healing. Like I'm going to get through this. Like you have got to convince yourself that you are getting better, even if you don't feel like it. And I mean, I truly believe that's where I'm at, why I am where I am today, because I refuse to stay in victimhood mentality.
How are your parents doing since they went through the keto program? Or they
Oh,
went
great.
on keto? Are they doing better?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, they've been doing it longer than I have. They're the ones that started it. But yeah, great. I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. And that's like when people come to work with me, my goal is that I give them the right tools, the right strategies, education, so that this is not just some fad diet. I also don't even like really putting like a name to it, because the second somebody hears like keto or, carnivore, it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So it's just like, no, like I'm teaching you how to eat from the earth and make it a sustainable lifestyle. And it's actually it's so easy.
Is it weird that
So
your
are you
parents?
telling me like friggin' like cooking up a pound of beef and some eggs is fucking hard? If it is, we got some.
What are you gonna say?
Is it weird that your parents turned you onto it? Like, children don't want to listen to their parents, and they're like, "Hey, honey, come try this
I
thing,"
got
and
this
now it's like your
diet.
life.
Well,
Do
yeah,
you?
no,
Are
like
you thankful?
I have always been a black sheep in my family. I have always done what I've wanted to do and rarely listened to anybody. But I was so desperate. Like I was so desperate. And it's the funny part is that I literally would make fun of them. Like I thought they were funny. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys are ridiculous. You need carbs. Let's see how long this is gonna last. This is not
Yeah.
gonna last long. And I mean, they're what, I'm almost into 5 years, so they're probably close into 6 years. And this is our life now. And we're happy. Like we
Trust
love
me.
what we
Yeah.
eat.
My mom was doing the same thing too, and it was butter in the coffee for a long time. You
Yeah,
remember
the
that? Like,
bulletproof.
yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? I remember like, what are you putting butter in your coffee? And I don't even think she was using butter. She was using fucking margarine.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
I was like, that's
chocolate syrup.
Yeah, that's not fucking butter. Oh, I love my mom. She's funny.
That's awesome.
Well, we've had a great time, Meghann. When are you, or is there a day that you're going to be on the panel at the Hack Your Health event?
I have no idea what day I'm speaking.
Okay.
Are you guys going? You're going to be there, right?
Yeah, well, my wife and I are going to have a booth there, and then Mike and I are going to be videoing and taking pictures.
Oh,
So,
are you guys
for
doing
the
like
event.
media stuff for them?
Yeah, we're going to do some pictures and video for them.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then my wife and I have a booth that we're going to have
What's
for a
your
business. We have a skincare business. We have Tallow skincare business. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, are you guys both going to be there?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right,
we're going to be
awesome.
there. So
Did you
we'll
guys,
get to-
are you guys staying? Did you guys get an Airbnb or a hotel or?
we were talking about that. We're probably so there's a bunch of us that are going to go. So
Yeah.
we'll probably get an Airbnb close by. Have you
Yeah.
picked out your spot?
I know I have to. I have to. Like May is going to be like tomorrow. I'm last minute for everything. I need to get on it though.
I know. We need to find one. We got another buddy of mine is coming and he's going to take photos. Mike is doing a video. And then I have another friend that's coming with us to help us like run the booth. So there's a lot of us. There's like 7 or 8 of us.
How far is Houston from Austin?
It's about 3 hours. Yeah. It's about
so you guys will drive. You don't have to fly.
No, it's not too far. It's a good drive too. So it's not too bad. So awesome. I'm originally from Austin or Dripping Springs. That's where I'm from. So that's my neck of the woods.
That's awesome. I'm hoping to like maybe come a little early because I want to explore a little bit because I didn't explore much last time I was there and it was really fun from what I experienced, but I want to experience a little more.
Oh, so you went last year?
So I was supposed to go last year, but I literally was on my way to the airport and I was like, dude, I can't go. I was so sick with SIRS. Like I was so devastated. I was just like, this is going to be a nightmare and I'm going to be miserable if I go. So I didn't go last year. I literally turned around. But I went the year before and I loved it. I loved it so much. Is this your first time or?
This is our first time. Yeah.
I think what my favorite part about it is just like, our community is online. So getting to actually like meet people in real life and hug them and take selfies, like it's just so much fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. Mike and I have done with a few podcasts with a lot of the keynote speakers and the panelists. So it's going to be fun to meet people like you in person for the first time.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet you guys. Thank you for so much for having me on. This was so much fun.
No, we had a blast. We'll let you know when this comes out. Can you send us a picture of you that way we could use for the thumbnail?
Well, yeah. If you have something online that you already have, I can snag it off there. But if you don't want something like that, you can send us whatever you want. And
go on my Insta and pick a picture you like.
Okay.
All the ones that have made it on there, I have approved.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick the worst one.
No.
it's a plate of food.
You won't find one, okay?
I'm gonna go to the bottom.
Yeah, do not scroll that deep.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the little fingers like this.
Dude, don't do it.
If you do, you may actually find some entertainment down there.
Okay.
Does that ever happen to you where you're scrolling too long and then you accidentally press the wrong button and it goes back to the top?
Oh, dude.
That's the worst.
It's hard to get to the bottom. It like has to load and it's like, what's it loading? Just go to the bottom, you know?
So this podcast, do you guys have a YouTube or just Spotify or like?
We're on everything. So Apple, Spotify, all the channels.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So Spotify is cool though, because Spotify will let you play the video.
Oh, that's awesome. Just so you guys know, I actually did my hair and makeup for you today because
oh my god,
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I see those lashes.
You do. I know you appreciate it.
Right.
I like the turquoise. I didn't think I would.
Oh, thank you. It's part of my branding. You know, it's a vibe. You know,
I'd hate to get in a fight with you.
You really would. Brains. I'd kick your ass.
You look like a scrapper. You look like a scrapper, man.
He's not. He's more of a lover. He's not a fighter.
Yeah, maybe.
What am I missing?
Sounded gay again. Too.
Am I missing anything?
We're not together.
I was trying to figure it out. If you were,
no, I'm married, so not to him.
You what, man?
Not to this guy. All right, Meghann. Well, thank you so much. We had a great time, and when this comes out,
it was so good chatting with you guys. Have a great day.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.